Something that this chapter also showed here is how willing the Lumarians are to accept the quote-unquote Kalyans into their mind, hear their voices, listen to their cries, listen to their guilt, listen to their fears and everything going on. Sure, when Oski is letting a grade 2 curse or whatever, a giant monster, caress him with his mouth and tongue, that's on Oski. If the Lumarians all want to die and end up getting slaughtered by curse spirits by living in Tokyo because they are misinterpreting them as Kalyan, that's completely fine with me. However, where this does become a main issue here is we know there is a curse spirit that not only was able to connect with a person that was still alive through the cursed realm, but if we have Lumarians that are now opening their third eyes up and communing with these spirits that they don't even know, because at this point, Oski is opening his eyes and spreading his third eye reach out as far as he can to feel the cries of the Kalyans that are being murdered in the dead of night far away from the Nonak ship. Something that a lot of people have brought up that I find very interesting and it's very important to bring up is that Lumarians, because most of them are able to control their Raruka or their cursed energy, they don't leak cursed energy the same way that the Japanese people do to create cursed spirits in the first place. I do, however, think it's interesting that we have the idea of the third eye opening and the third eye crying and it being a life traumatizing event for the Sumerian people. Because who's to say that while their third eye is open, they aren't leaking cursed energy themselves? So with that being a possibility, there has always been, since the very entrance of Mahito in chapter 6, a thought that the fear and negative energy of the Lumarian people for the humans, and also now the hatred they feel towards the humans and the people that slaughter Kali and their sacred beings, could that negative energy begin to funnel towards a curse of humanity? But unlike any other situation where a curse of humanity, a new one would form. Because Mahito has been alive, has been around in the cursed realm, to the point where he's connecting with people that are still alive that just so happen to wander off into that realm, is it really, quite honestly, possible that Mahito could somehow connect with someone like Oski, connect with the Lumarians that are reaching out to the Kalyan, and from there, Mahito can manipulate these people? Because, again, grade 2 cursed spirits, grade 1 spirits, naturally occurring spirits that are from negative energy of humans, of hospitals, schools, everything we've gotten since the very beginning of Jujutsu Kaisen, are just going to share voices of the negative energy that they surround. But Mahito is a much more sentient, a much more intelligent, and more well-aware curse that would definitely be more than willing to take advantage of an entire tribe of people to not only just revive, but potentially give himself the chance to get the long-awaited revenge he's always wanted against Itadori Yuji, if for some reason Yuji does appear in the series to actually help against Deborah. I think there are definitely so many insane ways that Mahito could go in the story, and while it's always just been speculation and just we've been kind of going back and forth on different things of whether or not the actual revival of Mahito will happen, I think if we get Yuji and seeing how integral Yuji might be to the interweavings of the Modulo narrative, I don't think it's crazy to say Mahito does have insane potential to come back as well, to the point that Mahito could almost essentially amass a whole cult of followers, of worshippers. Think about it. If these people are worshiping cursed spirits like gods, like sacred beings, there is no other person that is egomaniac enough, who is confident enough, who is manipulative enough, and just opportunistic enough to take advantage of this situation. I had already speculated well before that Mahito would want to come back just because Sukuna's not around and he would be one of the strongest curses of all time, returning in a weak era like this. Who is going to be able to exorcise Mahito but Yuji? And again, people like Oski, radicals like Oski that are so willing to go against humans and believe that they are bad, that they are completely ignoring the fact that cursed spirits and Kalyans really aren't the same thing and just have slight relation in general. People like Oski are going to be the easiest to manipulate, the easiest to take advantage of. I mean, again, we've seen how quick Oski flip-flops from side to side. He was just talking shit about Cross not even 5 chapters ago, and now he's talking about how Cross is a strong person and we need him for the tribe, and Cross is definitely not gonna die. Oski is quite literally someone who is so influenced by external forces and changes so quickly, it's not crazy to assume he would be one of the easiest people to make as a new prophet and like a second in command. And I just think that while I would have loved to have seen Modulo focus on its own story outside of the main line, I can't deny that if we were to ever get a Yuji versus Mahito rematch in a Jujutsu Kaisen sequel, this is quite literally exactly how I would want it to happen. Akutami has put it together almost masterfully at this point. So, almost masterfully. How do I think idle transfiguration would work on aliens? I do think that's also important to mention too, because if reverse curse technique, I mean, that's completely up to visualization and your imagination, so it makes sense why reverse curse technique wouldn't be able to work on the Sumerian organs, because the one girl's fear in the chapter was, look, listen, if he has a Sumerian anatomy that's completely unique to humans, I could literally heal him wrong. Like, I could heal him, quote unquote, and just make things worse. Which makes sense. Now, idle transfiguration is a little bit different. I'm imagining now, you have the mention a couple, like not even 2 chapters ago, or maybe even the last chapter, when Yuka and Saruki and Maru are discussing. They mention that there are definitely different grades of Kalyans. However, something that I think is very interesting that I don't know if it will come back into the story, but now that we're talking about Mahito controlling the cult of Lumarians, we do get it revealed that the most sacred of Kalyans that are immortal, they are known for giving and determining the kind of sorcerer, the kind of person that the Lumarian people are going to become. Imagine here you have Mahito, who has lived longer than any cursed spirit, may be able to present himself as one of these immortal Kalyans that, you know, was not able to be killed even though he was exorcised. He's lived on in the cursed realm. He is immortal. He couldn't fully be killed. What if idle transfiguration actually does work on the aliens and he's able to turn the Sumerians into entirely new beings? Like, what if Mahito is like, ah, yes, let me give you praise, and like puts his hand to their third eye and like transforms them into even more powerful beings? What if Mahito is the one that starts gifting these Lumarian warriors techniques, starts gifting them new, more common to earth sorcerer powers? Like, of all things, of all powers that actually would make Mahito seem more like a god, idle transfiguration is one of them for sure. Yeah, Mahito's now seen forearm and 2-mouth Sukuna. That's also important too. He knows how to reach an even higher potential than he already had before. It's not looking good. It's not looking good at all, guys. Literally like how Mahito gave Junpei his curse technique in season 1. Yes, exactly. Something that Mahito has literally done before. Mahito quite literally has the power to transform people into sorcerers. Yes, Junpei already had the potential to become a sorcerer. He just hadn't awakened a full-fledged technique. He was more of a window. That's a really good way to look at how Mahito, again, could present himself like even more of a god to the Sumerian people. Think about it. This guy shows up and he starts quite literally blessing your people. Why would you question that? Now more than anything, you have this guy that's going to be able to prove, you know, crazy shit. Good thing Kenjaku ain't around. I do believe Oski was about to get bit by that curse 110%. I definitely think Oski was about to get killed by that curse without a doubt. I think the cursed spirits and Kalyans, their connection, I think it's clear they're different, but I think because they're such close relatives, Oski was just someone that wanted to hate the humans anyway. The moment that he found out that the cursed spirits could even be related, he was more than willing to fucking hate the humans. He hated them from the beginning. So this just gets him to where he wants to be closer. Jabaloma is a good dude, but I think now with Cross gone to help guide him, he will fall to corruption from Mahito. The thing is, Jabaloma has become one of my favorite characters of the sequel, to be honest with you. I can't even lie. He's been such an integral character when it comes to the political situation. Even after everything that happened in last chapter, Jabaloma and Usami were on the same page. They were like, look, let's separate right now. We'll meet up later tonight. And even after Cross gets shot, Jabaloma is the person, one of the only people, by the way, that's trying to tell Deborah to calm down and stop. So I definitely think Cross getting shot is going to play a big problem in the Sumerian people in general. Jabaloma strikes me as someone that Because remember, right? If Jabaloma was gonna fall prey to, you know, because of good intentions or what was better for the people around him, wouldn't he have done it way longer ago when they first built the canal and first started building a relationship with the Discante? I mean, Jabaloma's daughter was killed by the Discante, and he was even willing to forgive that. But at the same time, it's a really good point to mention that a lot of people have said that at that moment, he had Dora to guide him. At the moment when they voted for coexistence with humanity, he had Cross to guide him. So it's completely possible that now that he no longer has those people that are making those decisions, who's he gonna co-sign? Deborah, who has already made it very clear he's more than willing to murder all of us if that's required to keep the Lumarians safe. I think Mahito will have all of his progress back. I think Mahito's gonna come back better than ever. I don't think he's gonna restart at all. And even if he does, he's got plenty of people to sap from. Now, here's a theory. What if the Lumarian people, specifically people like Oski, are like, oh, my sacred being, I'll become one with you. And Mahito just starts absorbing the Lumarians and just gets stronger. And listen, we're already not ready to handle Mahito if he comes back comes back as strong as he was before. He starts downloading Sumerians for more power. Maybe they decided the only way to settle the shooting process is to have a battle. We are well at that point already, unfortunately. Next chapter, well, maybe not next chapter, but that's exactly what we're getting into. Next, we got Yuka and Deborah fighting for the hope of humanity. Look how excited my girl is look how excited she is. She looks very happy to be here. Disaster curses were said to recycle, yes. But I don't think most curses do what Mahito did, where they stay in limbo and don't reincarnate, right? Jogo and Hanami and Dagon all accepted their deaths, were more than happy to reincarnate as new people, and passed on. We even see as much in the Shibuya incident. Mahito has not accepted his death even at this point. Mahito is literally just in limbo and I just don't think that's something that curses do, right? Most people don't do that. Even Sukuna, when it came time to die, ended up choosing to start a new path and to stay around. Mahito absorbing the Lumarians would kind of mirror Yuji. Oh my god, then I'm even more convinced.